Well, hi everybody, and welcome again to my shop where we're going to take another run at this radio. And I'm going to have to talk a little bit before I start working here. Maybe I'll straighten things up while I'm talking. Just to recap on this radio. Initially, the radio didn't work at all, and I very quickly found a shorted filter cap right in here, which I replaced. And having replaced that, the radio started working. FM so-so, and AM it seemed to be working, but was not really receiving any signals, but it certainly seemed to be working. But in poking around, I discovered that maybe the reason for the FM side not working was the very, very low B+ that seemed to be on the FM tubes. A little more investigation showed that only when the FM is selected did the B+ fall so low. It's around 60, 70, 80 volts. It should be around 150, something like that. The AM side seemed okay. The voltage was coming in around 150, but on FM it would fall off. So my assumption was there was something shorted, probably a shorting capacitor, somewhere in the FM circuitry, and I've spent quite a bit of time looking for it, some of it on camera that you may have watched, and an awful lot off camera too. Just hunting around trying to find the problem. Okay, now chapter 2 of this story, or another angle on it, is this resistor here. This is a 3500 ohm resistor. It's disconnected. It's been abandoned in the radio, and it says 3500 on it, and the circuit diagram also says 3500. Here's the replacement for it. This one, which says 4000 ohms. It's a big 20 watt resistor. When I measure this, I don't get 4000, I get about 4300. So 4300 in place of a 3500, that's a fairly significant difference. What I find, and what I'm going to demonstrate in a moment, is what kind of voltage is dropping across this resistor here. So let's take a look at that. I just want you to keep an eye on the meter. So I'm going to demonstrate it, what it is I've determined at this point, which makes a lot of sense to me, but I've been in this position quite a few times, so just because it's making sense doesn't mean it's going to be the be-all and end-all. But I think if I replace this with a proper sized resistor, we're going to find a higher voltage in the FM side of the set, and it's going to work better. Probably raise the voltage in the AM side too. But so let's demonstrate this thing. I got to turn them on here. Let's get these wire out of here. Just because I just don't like to have extra stuff around when I power stuff up. Okay, speaker is still connected. Very good. Put it on with restriction. Now watch this meter. What happened? How come I didn't see anything there? Oh, right. Right now the set, the radio is switched so that there's no supply to the AM or FM side. I've got it set on, I think, auxiliary right now. Okay, so we'll put it on AM. Is my meter not working? I should maybe, hey, that's kind of strange. Every time I go to do something with this radio, I ended up with something unexpected happening. What's going on? tip lead is clipped to the cloth insulation on there, not clipped to the wire. Okay. So by clipping to this point, there we go, I am electrically clipping to the far side of this big resistor. So we're actually reading the voltage that remains past the big resistor. So right now, the voltage that remains, we're on the 500 volt scale here, excuse me, is about 200. That's on AM. If I go to, let's say, phono, you can see the full B plus voltage shows up here now. This is around 375 or something like that. It's pretty high. As soon as you engage the radio, the tube currents that begin to flow draw down the supply voltage. And what that is, it's around 200. I'll make a more accurate measurement with my digital meter here, because same point, which is help us calibrate that other meter a little bit. 182 is what it actually is. So that's reading a little high. 182. And now we'll go to FM and watch what happens. And now it's dropped right down to 100. Probably less than 100, in fact. And that's crazy low. It's just not enough B plus to run the radio. And where's it all disappearing? Okay. So we read the high side of this resistor. There's 300 volts sitting here, and on the low side, 100 or 70. It's all dropping across this resistor. Resistor that's 4300 when the schematic says 3500. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace that resistor. And here's what I've got to replace it with. This is a resistor very similar to the one that's mounted in the bottom of the radio here. And it's a 20 watt, 3000 ohm resistor. And along with it I have its friend, Mr. 500 ohm resistor. So the two of them combined will give me 3500, and if I only want to run with the 3000 for some reason, we'll be able to do that too. Now, for this thing to get its full rating, it really does need to be attached to the frame of the radio, or the chassis of the radio. So I'm going to have to do that. This one is the one down here. This one's riveted right in. I thought about taking out the rivets and mounting this one there. A, to get the old resistor out, and B, make use of one hole in the chassis. I've decided against that. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to mount it up in here, about like that. And that means drilling a couple holes here. And this part of the radio is quite clear. It's got lots of space in it, so it should be lots of room to mount it. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to install this resistor and its mate. Let me just shut the power off here. And I think we stand a good chance of certainly raising the B plus and maybe solving the problem with this radio completely. And I guess this would mean that from the time the 4 kV resistor was put in, the B plus on the FM side was low, and maybe the resistor has floated high. Resistors tend to increase in resistance over time if there's anything wrong with them. And it's just floated high enough. It just dropped the B plus enough that the radio really doesn't work. One thing I didn't excuse me. One thing I didn't explain was the number of tubes involved. When you have the AM side on, it fires up 2 tubes. When you put the FM side on, it fires up 4 or 5. I can't remember now. But about double, therefore drawing about double the plate current, and it doubles the voltage drop on here. So I got to drill a couple holes through the top of this. So I'm going to think hard about where to put this before I drill those holes. Hey, there is a hole right here already. I can look right on top here. That's a perfect hole. So we'll use that hole. I only have to drill one hole. I'll show you here. Oh, there's already a hole in the chassis. It's all clear in here. Put it like that. I'll drill the other hole here. Bolt it in, we're done. Except for the wiring. Doesn't look too difficult, does it? I have a drill ready to go. And now it's going to be some metal pieces falling, like raining down into the radio. We really don't want that to happen. Not be the best thing. So let's see if I can make a chute or something that'll kind of make them go elsewhere. If I can't do a chute, I'll have to do the vacuum cleaner thing. Yeah, let's do that. We'll do the vacuum cleaner thing. Just kind of prop that about there, like that, and it should be able to drill. Oh man, everything's falling down back here. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, just can't quite get enough cord here to plug into my vacuum. Here we go. Whoops. Okay. And now there's two holes. So I just need a bolt and a bolt. Bolt that in. These all look a little big. Go through those holes. Yeah. Just a little too big. couple of nuts and bolts here. Now, what chances do I give for this to work, to be the real solution? Well, I think it's going to make a difference. Yeah. Voltage change between the AM and FM bands. Oh, come on, can't you go through there? Okay, I have to drill that hole out a little bit bigger. That's the easiest way to fix this. Okay, so there's the two screws that are holding it now, and of course there it is underneath. Now the next question is, should we include the 500 ohm resistor? I think the answer is yes, we should. And another question is, how are we going to run wires there? I need a little bit of wire. So I think what I'm going to use this wire here. I think I do a fairly neat job with it. Cut myself a little bit of extra. At least I think I've cut myself extra. Boy, in the past. Excuse me again. In the past, when I've thought I've been generous, I haven't. I've ended up. If you watch my videos on me restringing a couple of radios, yikes. You'll know that my extra is often not extra at all. Let's hope I didn't do that mistake here. Yeah, I'm guessing the 4K resistor is there because the last guy who worked on the radio, or at least the guy who put it in, that's what he had. He had a 4K, did not have a 3500. 4000, 3500, what difference can it make? Well, it can make quite a difference, I think. We're going to find out here. So let's remove the remove this guy here. Now certainly hang on to this resistor. Other than it reading high, there's nothing wrong with it, I don't think. This wire almost makes it there as it is. And you know what? I think this is an unused terminal. I think that's an unused terminal on this tube. And the wire is long enough to get up there on its own. I don't even have to put in a piece of wire. So let's check that terminal. So what tube is that? That's where's my documentation on this? Okay, so that tube, well, that's the rectifier tube. I don't even have to check. Just have to use my brain a little more. Of course, that's the rectifier tube. Oh, well, okay. Now that I know that, let's look it up and get the pin number. 5Y3. Probably worth memorizing this one. 5Y3. I can't memorize anything anymore. 5Y3. Actually, you know what? I never could memorize anything my whole life. You know, when you're a kid and you're in school, you gotta memorize stuff. Never worked for me. Okay, so let's see, which pin are we on here? We're on pin 1, 2, 3. Pin 3. Pin 3. And in the 5Y3, pin 3 is nothing. So pin 3 is just being used as a connection terminal. And by the way, this is what makes radio work sometimes so very, very challenging. That the clever and cheap engineers and designers will make use of let's say, spare terminals on various things, and do other clever things that make it very difficult to easily understand what is going on with the circuit. That's my excuse. Okay, so we just have to nip this wire. Abandon that plug. And reconnect them up here. How's that for easy? That is easy. And you know, I think this wire used to run way down to here, so that's why there's so much wire available to do this. So I think to start with, we'll put in the 3500. We'll put in the 500 ohm resistor. And we'll set this up for 3500 ohms, just as it requires on the schematic. And if for some reason we're not happy with that result, we have the option of taking the 500 out of the picture quite easily. In fact, we can even just clip lead it out and experiment for a bit, see what's going on. So, soldering iron's on, but it's turned way down. So. Okay, while that's heating up, so I just need one piece of wire now to go from here down to son of a gun, where did I cut that from? I thought I left a piece of wire on it sticking out, didn't I? Right here. Yeah, that's right off the high B plus through the resistor to produce a lower B plus for the radio tubes. And the higher B plus is feeding the audio tubes. Okay, Okay, so soldering iron should be warmed up okay now. Now, I don't need the piece of wire I was preparing. It's not even appropriate now. I need just a single piece of wire to go from here down to here. Now, look at these. That's interesting. This piece of wire appears to be, can't see it there. This one here appears to be kind of over top of everything, connected to the terminal I'm interested in. So I think that's another wiring move. This wire was probably going down here. I don't know. Down here. I don't know. Piece of wire. I need a piece of wire. Now I got this real heavy stuff. Let's use that. Oh man, look at that. I pulled conductors right through the wire here. I don't know if that's ever happened before. It must be the wires are not twisted inside the under the insulation, because if they were twisted, that would be pretty hard to pull a single strand out like that. Okay, big heavy piece of wire. That's a crazy piece of wire. You know what? That's just a crazy piece of wire. Let's not use that. It's too much. Use a similar wire, it's a little lighter. Not quite red, but we'll see if this is any better. Yeah, it's a little better. In terms of the number of strands and the difficulty to work with it. And the overall dimension of the wire. This is I was a little crazy with that other piece. I really hope this works, you know. I don't have many other tricks in my bag here. fact, I have no other tricks. I don't know what else to do about it. I think we're just going to have to solder that into place. And there's a lot of wires close to that terminal that are going to get hot here. Good. What's with my camera? Didn't have it focused that whole time? Hope not. That's one end. I'm going to leave all this wire out here on this 500 ohm resistor. It adds a bit to the cooling. I suppose it doesn't add much, but it's a little more heat sink for the resistor. And we'll figure out where to kind of stick it on a more permanent basis when we're happy with the result. Okay, so I now have the resistor connected. Everything looks okay. I think we're ready to test the radio again. I'm going to hook up my voltmeter so I can monitor the voltage. Where'd my voltmeter leads go? Here they are. Right here. So clip the negative lead to ground, and we'll clip the positive lead to the far side of the resistor combination, which will be here. It would be there. Okay. Let's make sure you can see the meter again. There we go. There. Okay. Voltmeter's in place. Tools away here, so I'm not. If some kind of emergency happens, I'm quick to run out of here. That's what needs to be the case. Okay. All looks good. Let's plug it in. Of course, we'll start this on current restriction. Fire on. Here we go. Okay, you can see the light is on. Voltage is going way up. Now watch it come down, down, and it's going way back down. Look. Oh my gosh, it's even lower. What? How can that possibly be? Okay, but I don't want to leave this running too long because things must be getting hot. So, boy, I tell you, I am. Whoa! It's gone right down on the supply side. is happening here? There's no voltage coming out of the vacuum tube here. What the heck is happening? Oh, Jim made a change. And the result is crap. So the voltage going in is only 100 volts now. Just looking at the heaters on the 5Y3 to see if they're glowing. And they're not. I mean, they're glowing okay. They look normal. They don't look overdone. I'm totally stumped. Totally, absolutely, completely stumped here on what's going on. I'll have to interrupt that wire and see if the voltage goes back up. Oh. I'll take it all back. I'll take it all back. We're still on current restriction. I take everything back. Let's just calm down for a second here. Repeat our test. Okay, full voltage. Wow, that makes a big difference, doesn't it? Okay, so we're seeing 350 volts on the supply to the radio components, or the radio tubes if you like, which are off right now. I don't have it on AM or FM, it's on phono. So that's the potential voltage that's there, 350 volts. And our house supply voltage is 125 right now. And that's going through an isolation transformer, by the way. It's boosting it just a wee bit. But that's okay, 125. Let's put on the AM radio. That's the AM radio, and we're at around 200 volts when the schematic shows that it should be around 155. 200 is a little high. Here we go on the FM side. Is everybody ready? Are we ready? 100 volts. It's pretty much exactly the same as it was. What's it sound like? I plug the antenna in. I don't know, man. I'm getting ready for disappointment here. Okay. You know, I think while I've had this radio, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse on FM. Weaker and weaker. Oh, there is no FM antenna. That might explain part of it.
Happy holidays from all your friends at GTA's.
OFSC.on.ca. That's OFSC.on.ca.
Hi, I'm Bob from Midway Nissan. Here is an opportunity
Hi, Bob.
to save big now and later. We have acquired a selection of new and gently used 2012 Nissan Versas,
That sounds pretty good,
Sentras,
actually.
Altimas, and Maximas. Labels.
Not too bad.
Your holiday.
End of the band. So there's a fairly popular up here somewhere. Some kind of funny, I don't know if you can hear that. Some kind of ringy sort of thing coming out of it.
See us from outer space, light it up. Like we're the stars of the human race.
Well, I could consider jumping this out. See how much voltage is on that. I should also check and see if anything's getting hot. And I better turn that down or I'm going to get a... Oh yeah, that's warming up. That's definitely warming up. It's warming up more than you would want, in fact. What about this guy here? Ooh, he's hot too. He's a hot fella. He's got 25 volts dropping across it. So what would that be? What was it? E squared over R? Was that what it was? So 625 over 500 is roughly 1 watt. Well, it certainly feels like more than 1 watt. Maybe I didn't do that calculation right. 25 times 25, that's 525, isn't it? 25 25s. So that's the same as a quarter, 100, 600. So it's 600. 600 divided by the resistance of 500, it's 1 watt. Sure seems like more to me, though. I am worried about how warm this is getting up here. This is getting too warm. So I'd say this is not working out. You know, I'm reading my little meter here is saying, I thought I saw 55 go by at one point. 45. Feels to me like it's around 60. That's what it feels like. Yeah, that's getting too hot. So we're kind of in the right realm here. If I took this resistor out, this one's going to get even hotter, I think. So I don't see that anything else is heating up in here. Yeah, nothing else jumping out. Ooh, that certainly jumps out. 57 degrees. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Maybe it's time to work on another radio again. I'll set this one aside for a day. How disappointing is that? But it is what it is. Yeah, as I was talking with some of my other troubleshooting buddies, there are just some radios that You know, maybe it's a combination of factors kind of spread out through the radio that result in bad operation, but no single one is responsible for it. And those things are really hard to hunt down. But, I don't know. It's a sad day in Jim's shop here. Just before I shut it off, okay, so that's around 100 volts. 100 volts. 100 volts. 100 volts or so. And the last one is this one here. 100 volts or so. So, hey, I'm stumped. I don't know what to think. Maybe just put a higher wattage 3500 resistor like the original one, and maybe we're good to go at that point. Let's shut it down, and I'll find something else to do for a little while.